Hey everybody, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm at Transwarp trying to meet you! Ah! Okay.
Yeah, well, you'll never catch me because
No. I beat you to the recording by a few minutes. So that bumpy ride, but I wasn't hoping it was done because I was interested in looking at all the lights passing by. All the many pretty colours of Transwarp. We're talking about Transwarp today, guys.
There's these things. They're called corridors. Transwarp corridors, to be exact. What the Borg used to traverse great distances of space very quickly. And they've been used in Voyager. We've seen them. They've been used now in Picard. And we're going to talk today about the little visual differences. And the thing is, I didn't really think much of it, to be honest. The one thing... And I think that goes for a lot of the general audience. They're not going to go like, "Oh, that looks any different than Voyager," because they either think it's just a tunnel. They don't notice the differences.
But we're Trekyards.
I know, right? The one difference I noticed right away was the fact that while they were going through this tunnel, it not only seemed like a mix of warp and something else, but you saw these like orange, and to me, visually, almost like it was suggesting those were stars or systems they were passing, and that's not quite how transwarp corridors work. And I visually didn't think, okay, what did it look like in Voyager when I was watching this? That's something that comes later when you're like, okay, that doesn't really look quite right, because Voyager had a very different feel and look,
And consistent feel and look.
Yes, exactly. Which, if they use transwarp corridors multiple times in Picard, I'm sure they'll all look like this, which is fine. So they keep consistency within their own show. But
So I think it looks fine, but they kind of went for everything. I mean, sometimes it's green, sometimes it's yellow, sometimes it's blue. It looks like warp that's taken mushrooms, that's seeing colours, because it does just look like a kind of the same warp effect, but now with colours, which is not how Transwarpers looked. But let's cut straight to the Voyager one. This is Voyager's Transwarp, and just for clarity, this is a new high definition shot of the original Voyager Transwarp corridor effect and the original Voyager cube. So this is literally the canon of the Borg Transwarp look. That is what it looks like. It's a green tunnel of vroom vroom vroom. So as you can see, it does not look like this Transwarp particularly, although it's a tunnel. But this is when it gets a little bit complicated, Stuart, because in fact, Transwarp is a weird name. The Excelsior had Transwarp drive.
totally different animal. Watch our episode on the transwarp drive.
Yeah, and it was not this Transwarp. The Voth had Transwarp. It was not a green tunnel of vum vum vum. So the Transwarp name is actually more a generic name for the thing above warp, because warp has limits. Transwarp is a different style of travel, and it's applied in different ways. Beyond that, we also have slipstream. That's a whole nother thing. Beyond that, and I thought about this while I was prepping this show, Transwarp has been seen two different ways in Voyager. Borg Transwarp, I mean. The shot I showed from Voyager is obviously a new creation, but that is the generic standard tunnel, which is seen every time. But this tunnel is made, when it looks like this, by a Borg cube itself, when they're creating their own the Transwarp tunnel. However, Transwarp network is different because that's because the Lesser Arena can't create a Transwarp tunnel, hasn't got the tech. You need a coil like a Borg cube. The Borg cube created their own Transwarp tunnel. That's different. Good for them. But they're using a Transwarp network, which is what the Borg have created by the hubs, which they look the same, but they do have these circular or hexagonal pieces that help extend the tunnels. Now that's why I assumed the vroom vroom, the orange lights were. I assumed they were just a representation of these, because it's very consistent that they were the things that help extend the Transwarp field. Although if they're trying 25 light years, having like 11 and 25 light years is absurd, so they're probably not. But visually, it might be what it's trying to be. But these are not traveling in the create your own Transwarp. They're traveling in a separate Transwarp grid. And it might not even be a Borg Transwarp hub grid, to be fair, because it's not green. The Borg commuted, but they didn't. You only saw the exit vortex. Maybe they happen to know where non-Borgs. Why would there be Borg-created Transwarp things here? Sort of. I mean, there was one up to Earth. I mean, yeah. Basically, Stuart, what do you think? I said a lot of things there, but what do you think?
the fact that you have these gates. Yes, we see the Voyager enter a gate and go into the tunnel, which is fine. And then to have those as extenders, also fine. I don't think that they were the orange things, though, just because they were erratically spaced and there was way too many of them for the distance, as you said. So that makes no sense at all.
Yeah, because Voyager travelled tens of thousands of light years, and they were the extenders. They travelled 25, and there was more extenders than the other one had.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the Voyager Transwarp Tunnel is it's basically the same as the hyperdrive tunnel from Star Wars, only instead of blue, it's green. It's almost exactly the same.
And Stargate as well. Same thing, blue and green.
Yeah, this one the new one is very much like the Discovery warp effect, and it's not really tunnely. It's always altering shape. You see a few stills on the view screen where there's weird shapes and stuff. Like there's stuff in the tunnel. It's not like it's not like a safe passage almost. It's like you got to dodge stuff. You see Rios doing and he's like smiling away. It just seemed a little weird. Again, they're not using any, like they're using their own ship that Soji kind of modified to access these corridors, whatever.
It does look like enhanced warp. I mean, I'll be honest. All the colors flying by, it looks more interesting. It looks more chaotic.
Very much chaotic, yes.
Yeah, but things it does look better. There's a few stills of being green, and you're like, oh, that looks more, more close. And then you got the actual the funnels, the things that you go in and out of, and they look like waves almost with clouds in the middle. It looks cool, but it's like, wow, it's really different. And they're blue, not green as well. Although I appreciate that when they go into them, they sort of the ship glows green, it goes in. That's what the Transwarp did. But they sort of like vaguely said, let's make it look similar, but also wanted to keep it looking very different, when in fact the Transwarp effect still holds up completely well. If this is a Borg Transwarp network, right, that means there's a hub controlling it. That means the Borg could actively appear also at this planet any second, because they have access to the hubs obviously as well, like we see in Voyager. So does this mean, because they've used the hub without permission, because I wouldn't assume the Borg just let people use their special network, does that mean that Soji could get them to Delta Quadrant I'm assuming they've rebuilt that hub, or just the Beta Quadrant hub. If you can access, does that mean anybody can access the tunnels and use the network and go? So I've assumed that only Borg ships could activate Transwarp and connect to that, because you need a Transwarp coil specifically to use Transwarp. I mean, Voyager got one and used it, but if there was a tunnel that always led to Earth, then does that mean that without realizing Earth could send a ship back to, because you can change direction in the tube. So does that mean that since there was a Transwarp corridor exactly on Earth's doorstep, if Soji had been there in Endgame, they could have activated the on their side and sent reinforcements back to the hub? Or met them in the middle. I mean, that's not. I thought that the hub is what kept it going. You entered the hub. Once you end there, you stay there, because you can't reconnect to it if you're non-Borg. And I guess if you're Borg, there's a residual. You can kind of like force it to open, and you get to access it. So maybe it's not. Maybe it's a, because you know how the Vaudois had the tunnels. Maybe it's a naturally forming Transwarp tunnel, or maybe they are just going into Transwarp speed. Maybe there is no tunnel, even though they explicitly show a network. So I don't know. I think they don't. I don't think they actually researched how Transwarp works, because I don't think they make it make sense fully.
And then, the other argument's going to be, it's 20 years later. The Borg have adapted quite a bit. They've assimilated new worlds. They've got a new way of doing things, which, fine, whatever. That's something that makes a little more sense. But
I was just saying, maybe they have all of these in Transwarp, the hexagonal extenders, like every few light years, so that anyone in a system can activate a Transwarp and create a stable tunnel anywhere.
No, that's not quite what I'm saying.
Oh.
I'm just saying that's why it visually looks different, is because it's different tech that's operating it now, because it's 20 years later.
But the Borg would surely know that they use this tunnel, because no one can access a Transwarp network, surely, without, and Borg could... So there should be really some Borg saying, it's like, what? Especially as, the Queen knows when they're in the tunnel in Endgame, they know what they're happening. Like, she can sense all of the individual hexagonals, I'm sure, of scanners, because, they're keeping a subspace network tunnel system going that's amazingly powerful. So, well, there you go. Confirmed as Krieg coming back next week as a diamond comes out of Transwarp and says, "Excuse me, you weren't allowed to use our... You didn't pay the toll. Damn you people." And he blowed one of our cubes.
Those are expensive to maintain.
Yeah. Yeah. It's thousands of Borg hours per day just to repair those things. So yeah, I just wanted to call out as it was an interesting turn. It wasn't too bad if it wasn't looking like Transwarp. But like we said, it could be a Voth Transwarp, it could be another sort of Transwarp, it could be a figurative. So it might not be actually Borg Transwarp, even though the Borg then went at Transwarp as well. I mean, yeah, they kind of mix the streams a little bit. But there you go, guys. Transwarp reviewed. We know you've all been asking for it, so here it is.
You never even knew you wanted it, but there it was. All right, guys, on that note, please hit like, subscribe. If you want to see more stuff like this where we talk about things you never even thought of talking about, please hit the subscribe button and make sure that notification bell icon is rung with the all. It has to say all, so that we get notified every time we upload. You can pick and choose what you want to watch, but at least you get notified. It just helps us out, helps you out, and, just makes for a better community if you guys can join us at any time.
Yeah, we'd like you to be there. And if you can as well, join the Patreon. That would be great. How many videos do we do a week? A lot. How many have we done during these months? A lot. Support us if you can, even a little bit. Or the free ways, just obviously like, subscribing, and just watching the videos. We put time and thought in. If you like a topic, do share it. These things are important. And once Picard ends, come back and join our lives and be part of that community that we do about non-Picard topics, as we're quite excited to do, I'm sure. This has been a long road and we're excited to be past it. Come join the fun there. Be nice.
That's right. So until next time, guys, I'm Commander Cockings.
And I'm Captain Foley.
Wait a minute, that ain't right.
Just like Transwarp. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.